You feel strangely exhausted after a fun night out, even when nothing bad happened and everyone seemed happy, and you keep wondering why socializing drains you instead of energizes you. This video is for you because that tired, heavy feeling afterward is not weakness, and it is not antisocial behavior. It is your brain responding exactly how it is wired to respond when it processes people deeply rather than superficially. The truth is, some brains don't recharge through stimulation. They recharge through recovery and psychology. Says when you understand how your nervous system and attention systems work, that post-social exhaustion stops feeling like something is wrong with you and starts making sense as a sign of depth sensitivity and emotional intelligence. Your brain is constantly processing far more during social interaction than you realize from facial expressions. Tone shifts, emotional subtext, and unspoken expectations. And research shows that people high in emotional awareness and empathy engage more neural networks during conversation, which means your social battery drains faster, not because you dislike people, but because your brain is doing more work, reading between the lines, regulating responses, and staying attuned to the room, even when you think you are just talking casually. Psychology calls this heightened sensory and emotional processing, and it is closely linked to introversion and high sensitivity, where the nervous system responds more strongly to stimulation, and your brain releases more cortisol during prolonged social input, which means, after the fun ends, your body needs quiet to return to baseline. And that urge to be alone is not avoidance, it is regulation. Another reason alone time feels necessary is because your default mode network finally turns back on after socializing, which is the part of the brain responsible for reflection, meaning making and emotional integration. And while others might relax by staying stimulated, your brain relaxes by going inward, reviewing experiences, organizing thoughts, and restoring coherence. And this is why silence feels calming rather than empty. To you, research shows that people who rely heavily on internal processing feel mentally crowded. After too much external input, and alone time allows cognitive load to drop so your mind can breathe again, which is why scrolling quietly or sitting in a dim room feels better than continuing conversation even with people you care about. There is also emotional labor involved in social interaction that often goes unnoticed, especially for people who are considerate listeners, adaptable communicators, or conflict avoidant. And your brain is constantly adjusting tone, monitoring reactions, and choosing words carefully. And studies show that this type of self-regulation consumes executive function, which leads to mental fatigue even if the interaction was positive. This means when you get home and suddenly feel empty, tired, or irritable, it is not because the night failed, but because your brain has been in performance mode for hours and needs permission to stop monitoring and start restoring, which happens best in solitude. Your attachment system also plays a role because socializing activates relational expectations even subtly, and your brain scans for belonging, safety, and acceptance. And once the interaction ends, your nervous system releases tension. Similar to coming down from adrenaline, and alone time gives your body a signal that it is safe to relax fully without being observed or evaluated. This is why being alone afterward feels grounding rather than lonely, because your system is completing the emotional cycle, not shutting down. And psychology says honoring this rhythm actually improves long-term social well-being rather than harming it. So if you often need space after fun social moments, it does not mean you are broken, difficult, or antisocial. It means your brain values depth regulation and internal balance. And the more you respect that need, the more present and genuine you can be when you do connect. If this explains something you have always felt but never had words for, share this with someone who thinks alone. Time means rejection. And if you want more psychology that validates how your mind works, subscribe, because understanding yourself changes everything. This is your brain telling you it's okay to recharge and honor your depth.